This week, we've seen lots of people talk about that one study where it was found that SSRI can potentially influence tinnitus. And in this video, I want to debunk some of the ideas and myths around this, look at what this study actually means for people with tinnitus who might also deal with depression and anxiety. And before I get into the video, I want to mention that I'm tinnitus coach Frieda, born deaf on my left ear, hearing aid and severe high-pitched tinnitus, and I'm a tinnitus coach using ACT methodology to help people habituate to tinnitus. That's who I am, and it's also who I'm not. I'm not a medical professional, I'm not a psychiatric practitioner, and I am no medical doctor. So before you adapt or change any of your medication strategies, please make sure to see your physician or your psychiatric doctor. Let's get on with the video and see what the big hype between the link of selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, so SSRI, and tinnitus is actually about, and whether you should be concerned if you take antidepressants and experience tinnitus at the same time. Welcome. All right, and because there has been such a widespread discussion on what this new study actually means for people with tinnitus who are taking antidepressants, we're going to look at it in a little bit of more detail right now. So first of all, I want to set the background a little bit. And it's important to notice again that tinnitus is a lot more common than we think, right? So 14% of all individuals in the world actually experience tinnitus. So understanding the mechanisms behind tinnitus and what medications do and how they influence people with tinnitus and what mechanisms play a role in people developing tinnitus is relevant for hundreds of millions of people. Therefore, the first thing I want to say is very important that we do have this kind of research and that people are getting more into what actually tinnitus means and how it develops. Therefore, the second part is we need to understand what SSRIs are. So selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors is a class of drugs that is one of the most commonly described antidepressants for depression and anxiety, such as Prozac, Zoloft, and sertraline. And I believe Zoloft and sertraline are the same. They're just different generic names. And they work in a way that they block the reabsorption of serotonin in the brain, making more serotonin available, which has antidepressive effects. And why does this matter for people with tinnitus? Because many people with tinnitus also experience anxiety and or depression. And that is obviously the tinnitus is not always the underlying cause, but the reaction towards the tinnitus is causing depression and anxiety. And that is important for the next part. Um, the new study that was published recently now said that researchers found a specific brain circuit in which serotonin producing neurons send signals directly in the auditory system. And when this system is activated, the animals, in this case rodents, behaved as if they were experiencing tinnitus, right? So elevated levels of serotonin lead to the auditory cortex circuit being activated, tinnitus-like behavior in mice, and when the circuit was turned off again, the stimulation, the symptoms reduced to normal. Here's a little bit on how the study was done, because I think it's important in plain words. I'm not a scientist, but I tried to get it down into words that I would understand myself. There was some fiber optic light aimed at some of the neurons in the brain of these rodents without affecting any other systems that would then spike the serotonin levels in the brain. And that specifically in the auditory regions, right? And specifically in the auditory regions. And why is this important? Because if we can, change the availability of serotonin in certain brain regions rather than in others, then we have a very good chance of understanding what mechanisms lie behind tinnitus and what mechanisms lie behind, for example, depression and anxiety. So the mice were then tested using a starter response, a standard measure to determine whether they are experiencing tinnitus-like symptoms or not. and then they were seen to be experiencing tinnitus. And when the circuit was turned off again, these fiber optic lights stimulating the neurons, the symptoms were significantly reduced. So let's look a little bit at what the serotonin and the auditory cortex actually have in common. The serotonin is sourced in the brain stem. The serotonin neurons fire. The dorsal cochlear nucleus is the first auditory relay station in that process. The signal gets amplified, sent to the auditory cortex where the sound is perceived, and it's then presented to, the frontal part of the brain, and leading to tinnitus perception, ringing, or buzzing sensation. So the key finding is that serotonin, the selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, can, in some people, increase the perception of tinnitus, because that circuit means that it directly reaches the auditory system and creates or worsens phantom sounds in susceptible individuals. And here's what's very, 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 very important. This is the key learning of this. It does not mean that when you're taking SSRIs now, you are doomed and you will have a big problem with your tinnitus. It means something entirely different as well. Dr. Lawrence Trussell, ENT professor, is then quoting, we can then quote him to say, it may be possible to develop cell or brain region specific drugs that steer the elevation of serotonin in some regions of the brain, but not in others. In that way, it may be possible to separate the beneficial effects of antidepressant therapy from the potential harmful effects on hearing, potential harmful or potential, not harmful, but potential exacerbating of tinnitus effects, right? So this here now is my take on the situation, right? What this means for you if you have tinnitus right now, and if you are dealing with bothersome tinnitus right now, and also experience depression and anxiety. First of all, this is a mouse study. Mice are not people. Mice and rodents are not people, so they might not directly translate directly to human experience, because the brain is far more complex in us humans. And the second part, and I said this in the introduction already, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm just sort of like trying to replay what the study did as well as I can. But SSRIs can be life-changing. So depression and severe anxiety related also with tinnitus can be very serious conditions. And since my burnout in 2024, I personally take SSRIs. I personally take an SSRI. I still take it. I feel that it does stabilize me, and it gives me a benefit, and will continue to take it until I talk to my psychiatric doctor and decide with him to lower or taper myself off, right? And for me, it has had no negative impact on my tinnitus. And science is poor, no, I forgot this point, that talk to your doctor. Don't just stop taking your medication. If you notice that your tinnitus is changing after starting or adjusting a medication, you can raise that with your doctor, but you absolutely should not adjust the medication on your own, right? Especially if you have been on it for longer periods of time and nothing is changing, then the beneficial effects probably outweigh the potential slight implications for your tinnitus. And the final part here is that science is pointing towards solutions, all right? So this research helped identify a target for future tinnitus treatments, which is genuinely good news, right? Again, 14% of the people on the world, on this planet, experience tinnitus. Therefore, the more research we do, even if it's in different areas, and now this here has to do a lot with the brain chemistry and how serotonin works in the brain, that's very, very relevant and very important for how we perceive tinnitus and how we can treat tinnitus in future. But for now, I want to say finally, to conclude this video, you absolutely don't have to do this alone, right? So whether your tinnitus is related to noise exposure, medication, or substance problems, the path forward is always going to be the same. And since I am fully habituated and still taking SSRIs, my tinnitus perception, I believe, cannot simply be amplified, because even if it would, I'm still habituated, so I don't care. So If you want more support, then you know where to go. You can go and join us at mytinnitus.club for the 12 weeks program and weekly group coaching sessions. I also sometimes have a few coaching spots open for one-on-one coaching with me, but you'll always be able to access the 12-week structured program inside mytinnitus.club, where you join a supportive community, practice daily tools for reducing the emotional impact on your tinnitus, which in turn will help the depressive and anxiety symptoms, right? So once again, the bottom line on tinnitus and SSRIs are a real circuit has been found where serotonin can directly affect the auditory brain. This validates what some people do report, that sometimes there is an interplay between SSRI and tinnitus in very few people. I think large amounts of people have not reported this. And again, we have to keep in mind that it's very difficult to say that people who are in a very distressed and depressed period of time, do they experience elevation of their tinnitus because of the SSRI or because of their condition, which is the depression and the anxiety. And second one, as I said before, this is early stage research in mice, and SSRIs are not dangerous. They are among the safest medications that we can take, and the benefits often outweigh any risks by far. So finally, talk to your doctor if you have problems, and science is advancing, which is a very, very good thing, right? So thank you very much for listening in. So I didn't want to make the video unnecessarily long, but if you do have further questions and this video left you with insecurities or difficulties, then feel free to just drop me a note in the comments, and I will do my best to help you and support you with everything I can in the comment section here on YouTube. But I want you to know that it's not a problem if you continue taking your medication. I personally have had very, very positive and beneficial results from SSRI. If you don't take medication, that is also fine. Medication will never block your ability to habituate, and not taking medication will also not block your ability to habituate, but it sometimes helps the depression and anxiety symptoms. So I hope that this was useful for you. Next week, we have another success story. A lot of you guys were looking forward to more success stories. Look at the beautiful cherry tree, nearly almost lost all of the blossoms, but turning nice and green now. It's springy in Berlin now. Might go for a stroll and enjoy the sun, having an ice cream. We'll see. And yeah, thank you very much for tuning in today, and I'll see you in next week's video. Goodbye, guys. Bye-bye.